Oh boy, the drama slop is poppin' this week, which means it's time for another installment of the Shanghai Pete broadcast, otherwise known as DEGREELESSNESS. This time, we're getting deep inside the WoW Classic corner of the misery machine that we call the internet, specifically the WoW Classic hardcore scene and a Twitch streamer guild called OnlyFangs, cute, which got pwned last week by repeated DDoS attacks during some of their recent raids, which, if you don't know, since these were hardcore runs, resulted in the permadeath of many of their characters. And many lulls were had by all, the end. Sorry, just kidding. Initially, due to the repeated nature of these DDoS attacks, the guild had decided to disband as, who wants to spend hundreds of hours leveling and gearing a hardcore character only to lose it through no fault of your own? Yeah, no one. So it looked like a very sad ending to a very sad story was at hand. But then, Blizzard swooped in at the 0 hour, miraculously, to save the beloved streamers by breaking their long-standing policy of non-intervention by reviving the lost characters. Happily ever after? First time on the internet, my friend? No, of course, no happily ever after. This is the internet where almost everything is performative and people always need something new to be mad at. So naturally, as you may imagine, if you're familiar with any of this kind of nonsense, following Blizzard's unprecedented intervention to save the streamers' collective asses, people have been split into two camps. Those who think that Blizzard lending an uncharacteristic helping hand here were doing a good thing and helping out players who died through no fault of their own, and people who think this is little more than another example of streamer privilege, as no regular person who this happened to would stand a chance at ever getting any help from Blizzard whatsoever. So, what is the correct answer? Who's right? Who's wrong? Fear not, my friends, that's what I'm here for, to tell you the correct stance and to explain why everything is capitalism's fault really in the end. But first, let's take a look at this Game Rant article to get the details. OnlyFangs, a popular World of Warcraft hardcore guild composed of streamers and content creators, is shutting down after a series of DDoS attacks on its members. Very sad. Unlike the traditional World of Warcraft experience on Retailer Classic, death is permanent in WoW Hardcore. DDoS attacks are potentially leading to some unfair deaths, causing players to lose all their progress. Let's put unfair in quotes there. OnlyFangs was founded by some dude as a way to unite streamers under a single banner in World of Warcraft Hardcore. In this game mode, every decision matters. If a character dies, then they are gone forever. More than just a competitive team aiming for endgame content, OnlyFans was mainly popular for bringing its share of drama as co-figure, as viewers follow the adventures of their favorite streamers in the permadeath environment of WoW Hardcore. OnlyFangs featured several well-known streamers who I'm not going to give any further promotion, as they tried to survive across the dangerous lands of Azeroth. The guild leader announced his decision to disband OnlyFangs following regular DDoS attacks on Blizzard servers. For those unfamiliar with the term, a DDoS attack floods servers with overwhelming traffic, causing massive lag or even disconnecting players entirely. In a game mode like WoW Hardcore, where a split-second delay can lead to a permanent character death, these attacks made it impossible for members to enjoy the game without the looming threat of irreversible loss. Gee, yeah, it's so crazy. I can't believe Blizzard stepped in, because they wouldn't want that to be the public face of that game mode. Yeah, crazy that they did something. The guild leader announced putting an end to OnlyFangs due to these DDoS attacks, stating that it's a terrible ending, but it's the ending that we got. Almost like playing a game in public for the entertainment of a live audience carries its own risks. Wonder if anybody considered that before starting this up. Interesting. These DDoS attacks caused the permanent death of several OnlyFangs characters. A recent attack prevented OnlyFangs from running their Blackwing Lair raid. The attack hit Blizzard servers, causing many players to disconnect during the raid and preventing them from progressing safely. Some guild members were disconnected randomly, even during a boss encounter. The DDoS attack caused further WoW Hardcore servers to lag so much that continuing the raid was simply not an option. WoW Hardcore remains an unforgiving experience where any mistake can cause the loss of hundreds of hours of gameplay. The repeated DDoS attacks on Blizzard servers led to the, again, quote-unquote, unfair death of many characters, leaving players frustrated as they lost all their progression due to technical issues. Which is honestly pretty understandable. As the guild is disbanding, players are asking Blizzard once again to take action against DDoS attacks to ensure players can fully enjoy WoW Hardcore and its permadeath challenges. And as we know, Blizzard has heard the cries of these woefully oppressed multi-millionaire content creators and decided to step in and intervene. And as I was alluding to earlier, I think you can probably already start to guess why they would do that. But before we get into that, let's check out this Dexerto article on what exactly Blizzard has decided to do. On March 22nd, Blizzard servers were targeted in a DDoS attack that cut short the hardcore raid being undertaken by popular WoW guild, blah, 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 blah. They all died, it was very sad, blah, 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 blah. Leader of the guild said that if Blizzard didn't do something, then they would put the guild to rest. And as we now know, Blizzard indeed has decided to do something. In a Blizzard forums message authored by WoW Classic's associate production director, Clay Stone, the team addressed how the attacks impacted many of its game services, including hardcore realms. Because of the quote malicious efforts of bad actors, Stone said Blizzard would take steps to resurrect player characters that were lost as a result of these attacks. The developer wrote in part, quote, unlike the many other ways characters can die in hardcore, DDoS attacks are an intentionally malicious effort made by third-party bad actors, and we believe the severity and results of DDoS attacks specifically warrant a different response. Stone went on to note that this does not change the studio's policy regarding hardcore character restorations, of course not. However, at Blizzard's sole discretion in the future, hardcore characters may be revived if they happen to perish during a mass event which we deem inconsistent with the integrity of the game, such as a DDoS attack. My, interesting indeed. But okay, so, who's right? Is this streamer privilege? Well, in fairness, we won't know for sure until this kind of thing happens again, another mass event as they put it. But to other Blizzard customers maybe who are, let's say, less visible than a guild full of Twitch streamers, and we see how Blizzard responds. My money is on they won't give a fuck, but we will have to wait and see. In the meantime, though, yes, of course this is streamer privilege. Obviously. I don't really see how there can be a debate about that. You could have a debate maybe about whether you want to get mad about that or not, but not about whether or not it's streamer privilege. Of course it is. The reason Blizzard is intervening here is, as most things are, simply a matter of money. It's really not complicated. If you ever want to know why something is happening, 90% of the time you can find the answer pretty reliably by following two easy steps. Step 1, follow the money, and step 2, remember that the only thing that matters to any company or corporation is number must go up. That's it. Literally nothing else. To put it another way, corporations view Twitch streamers as little more than a multi-hour long commercial for a company's products. In this case, a game company, Blizzard, and their product, World of Warcraft. And having 40 plus people spending hours complaining about your game instead of playing it makes for a pretty shitty commercial. That's it. Case closed. Call that streamer privilege, call it smart marketing, call it boohoo capitalism strikes again, call it whatever you want. The facts remain the same. This is just Blizzard covering their ass as any corporation would do. If they've got a choice between letting a whole swarm of influencers and content creators spend hours bitching about how their product is garbage and unplayable, or having them advertising that product actively by playing it instead, yeah, they're gonna go with the free advertisement. No company wants that kind of bad press, and none would accept it willingly if they had another choice. So, I mean, the sad reality is until you have tens of thousands of people watching you play World of Warcraft, don't expect Blizzard to give a shit. It's just numbers, folks, and unfortunately, the numbers in this case do not favor the regular customer like you and me. You can be mad about that if you want, I wouldn't recommend it, but that's just the way it is.
Woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out, woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down. Back down, what? Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out, woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm